How's it going, Critter Family? Hope you all are doing well. We're going to try this for the second time. I got through this through about, I got almost halfway through, and then I realized that I was not recording. So that sucks. But anywho, we're just going to get back into it. This is Healer Mama. We're talking about dog aggression is always the owner's fault. Not always, which is true. I tend to agree with her on that, that it's not always the owner's fault. Sometimes we have medical issues that cause the dog to be reactive, tumors in the brain, bad teeth, bad hips and joints, and they just react. But to me, there's a difference between aggression and reactivity. So when it comes to reactivity, the dog will be acting outward to prevent a fight. In my opinion, my personal opinion from experience, that's my definition of it. There is a definition of it, but this is my definition of reactivity, where they act out, a big theatrical, not saying dogs are theatrical, but just saying they act out to scare the other thing away because they are acting out of fright and in flight. They want to run away versus fight, and aggression is the fight side of that. Dogs have the 5 F's: fight, flight, fiddle, faint, and freeze. And so with that, I think aggression is not always the owner's fault. There can be a number of reasons why a dog is aggressive. And there's been cases where I've worked with owners and I say, I don't know why your dog is aggressive. They are. We can work on that, on the symptoms, but we don't know the sole root of it unless we get them checked out by the vet. And chances are there could be a large mass in their brain, a massive tumor or something pressing on somewhere in their brain, causing mixed signals and mixed connections that cause the dog to be or aggressive, and can be a danger. So let's just see what Mama has to say here. Healer Mama, take it away.
Say, all three waiting. Say, video time in our video room, huh? Don't worry, I'll go get some cookies for you because you guys were so good coming in here. Yeah, you just walked right on in when I said it was video time. All right, are we all in our spots for video time? Are we ready? Everybody good? You can give me a paw? Good job, good job. So welcome back, guys. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about aggression, dog aggression. So I wanted to talk about the theory about how all dogs are aggressive because it's the owner's fault, period. I don't agree with that statement at all.
The what is it called when you say all this or all that, totality, of everything. There's no always or nevers in the animal world. There's always there's something in between. There can always be a something in between. So it's not, the 100% this or 100% that. There's a whole lot in between there, in between the spectrum of always do this or never do that, or you have to look at the totality of circumstances. Look at the whole situation before you decide to just say always or never.
I would actually say maybe 90-something% of the time, yes, most dogs who show true aggression, the owners did something to mess it up somewhere along the lines. But I don't really like trainers that say that that's the only reason a dog's aggressive. I think that's misleading. I think that's either lack of education on their part, or maybe it's just, their way of doing their trendy, it's your fault your dog's aggressive and we can cure you in 5 minutes.
Sure,
maybe it's
gimmick.
That mentality. I don't know. I don't like any of that. And there's a few reasons why I don't.
And don't get me wrong, I will tell people when, I will be honest and tell people and say, hey, if your dog gets into a fight, chances are if there's humans involved, it was a human fight that caused the dogs to fight. It was a human fault that caused the dogs to fight. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to blame every single problem on that human. And it doesn't mean that I don't want the human to feel like, I'm terrible and I should never, do this ever again. And I just mean that to be honest, because I learned brutally honestly through other people and through especially Adonis, my Shiba. He taught me common sense that, hey, don't do this or it's going to cause that, or don't do this or I'm going to react this way. Or if I get in a fight, then it's because you put me in that position to feel the need to protect myself. So, I do put owners, I hold owners accountability. I hold owners accountable But that doesn't mean that every issue is going to be the owner's fault. There are some times when things get out of hand very quickly and things escalate and we can't control it. And there's things that we literally can't control if there's, a very aggressive dog with something going on in their brain or in their body.
Agree with that statement that all dogs are aggressive because of the owners. One reason is dogs like us sometimes just come out with a screw loose, or come
Very
into this
true.
world with some, I don't know, evil stuff or something. I mean, in an ideal world, yes, all puppies, are sweet and cute and innocent and blah blah blah, but that's not always the case. I've actually seen puppies, including one puppy out of Gypsy and Clea's litter, that I'm very curious on how that dog turned out, because it showed such signs of aggression straight out of the womb. They were just born with a little extra bit of sass, or maybe.
And I know a puppy that is very much like this. That reminds me, in one of my classes, we had a puppy that was very much aggressive, as in, they were picked up at 7 weeks old from their home, I believe, which is too early. I think that is the fear imprint stage. And they were taken home during that time, and they developed very severe resource guarding, very vicious resource guarding at such a young age, at 8 or 10 weeks old, showing very severe resource guarding, showing the teeth, lunging for people, taking chunks out of them, really severe, which we'd been working on with positive reinforcement. And the dog also acted very dominant. And I don't use that word, and I don't throw that word around a lot, but this puppy was the definition of what humans try to act like as dominant, where this puppy, for no other reason, would go after and pick on other smaller dogs. They would growl at them, they would pin them over, and they would stand over them, and they wouldn't let them up. And they wanted to continue to show their strength and show their fierceness and whatever this puppy was doing. And that didn't last real long. At all. That didn't last long. And we ended up putting them in a group with bigger, older puppies and older dogs that were not going to put up with that baloney. And they taught that puppy real darn quick that you're not going to do that. That's not going to be tolerated here, because we need dogs to be able to teach other dogs and learn from other dogs. They weren't aggressive. They weren't nasty. They just pinned the puppy on their back like they'd been doing to other puppies that were smaller than them. This puppy, Shiloh, only did it to puppies that were smaller than her. And so these other dogs, would pin them or correct her with a nip, and say, "Hey, knock it off. You're not going to do that here. We're all balanced dogs, and that's not necessary. Don't start fights that you can't finish, and don't start fights, period." So that fixed her. That helped her, and along with that, of course, there was supervision. We didn't just let a bunch of dogs go teach a lesson to another dog and beat the crap out of them. None of that happened. We supervised them. But sometimes you need dogs to teach other dogs. But in this case, where you have, puppies that are just really aggressive, this puppy here, I question the owners about questioning the breeder. That I feel like the breeder could be really shady. Or maybe, from other things, the breeder did sound kind of shady. Not just from this one thing. But also, it could be just one of those puppies. That puppy individually just had a screw loose and was just kind of a little bit extra, if you want to call it sassy. I don't know. I think Adonis was plenty sassy, and this dog was a lot more, was turning into a bully real quick.
It's more than a sass. I can't say what I want to say, because YouTube, some puppies that actually get removed from their litter mates way too early, like at 4 weeks old or 6 weeks old even. That's why they always suggest to keep the litter together up until 8 weeks. When a puppy gets removed too early, they don't learn all that stuff, so they tend to have more aggressive tendencies. The second thing of dogs having true aggression or showing new signs of aggression would be medical. And another reason I hate the statement that all dog aggression is caused by the owner, because they seem to forget the medical side of things. If a dog is in pain or going through some kind of medical issue, it can lash out. It can lash out at its
Absolutely.
owner. It can lash out just at random things. When I worked at the vet office, we had a dog that came in there. It was like my first or second day on the job. Beautiful mixed kind of dog. Sweet as can be. I was told to sit with it while the veterinarian went to go talk to the owner. And the next thing I knew, when the vet came back, she said, okay, prep it for euthanasia. And I was just
Oh.
like, what? Apparently the dog had been showing extreme signs of aggression towards the owner, actually ripped a huge chunk out of the owner's arm.
Oh.
The dog was only a year old. And after running tests and stuff, they discovered that the dog had a large tumor in its brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was showing signs of aggression. Even with us, when our original crew became seniors, both Kagi and Lucian actually
That is very difficult to go through, so I'm sorry to hear that.
showed some aggressive signs. Like Kage, for example, he had a little bit of dementia happening. He would randomly attack the dining room table. He would stand there and growl aggressively and try to attack the dining room chairs. Once in a while, when Silver would walk by him, he would sniff her, and then he would just go into this like rage freak out attack on her. And other times he would sniff her and it would be fine. Dementia can cause a lot of weird and strange behaviors, including aggression, in your dogs. When your dog has been a sweet, loving dog its whole life and all of a sudden changes in that behavior, like it's upsetting. But it was through no fault of our own. It was because of his illness.
And that same thing can happen to humans. Humans can be just as aggressive. Humans can be just as moody. Um, Dementia is known as the long goodbye. You know, it's a very unfortunate thing to go through and experience, and I'm very sorry that you had to go through that. Healer Mama, that's, you know, that has to be hard with everything else that you have, you know, going on, and as everybody else has everything else going on in our lives. That has to be difficult to go through. So I'm sorry to hear that. And with that, I imagine that there was a lot of management, you know, with having an animal with dementia, has to go through a lot of management to make sure everybody is safe, including the animal that is sick, but also the other animals that are around to make sure that they don't get caught in the crossfire.
And here's actually the one clip that we have of Kage doing what I'm explaining here.
Kage. 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 Hey, hey, you're okay, buddy. There's no one here. There's no one here. What are you growling at, honey? I know, girls. I know. It's scary, huh?
Aw.
Honey, those bowls are empty. You already had your breakfast. Kage. Sweetie, it's okay. Kage. Kage, what you doing? What you doing, buddy? Huh? Are you losing your mind? Kage, it's okay. It's just Daddy. Yeah, see, it's Daddy. You're okay. Kage. I know. I know, baby. I know.
And again with my Lucian, which I don't know if I've ever talked about this.
Wow, that's got to be scary. I can't say that I wouldn't be afraid the first couple of times. If Adonis did that, I would be pretty fearful and worried about him, because that's not like a normal. That's not a normal reaction for a dog. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
A specific part of his end before on this channel. You know, he had his liver failure. He magically got better from it. Then his levels got worse. His behavior changed when he was going through all that. And I don't know if it was pain or there was a theory that when we were doing medications with him, that all the toxins that went through his body messed him up somehow neurologically, because he actually ended up starting to attack Kage. He attacked him once so bad to where, like, my kitchen was all shades of red. Like, he had ripped Kage open in multiple spots. And we don't know why. And then he started attacking the girls. And it was random. It was just as random as when Kage would have his episodes. It always started after, like, a medication change or if something was going on in Lucian's body. There was even one night when I was sleeping with Lou, like I always did. I had my arms around him, we were snuggling, and all of a sudden he turned and bit my face. Thankfully he didn't get me, and I could see it in his face that he realized he messed up. Like, it went from, like, the rage to, oh wait, that's Mom. Like, I can't believe I just did that. So part of our reason for letting him go wasn't just because of the liver failure. It was also behavioral due to the stuff that was going on with him medically, because we couldn't make it better for him in so many ways. Like, there was his legs were an issue too. It was all kinds of issues. Seeing that aggression happen with him and also with Kagi towards the end of their life, I was scared to death Silver was going to do the same, but she never did. But my boys did not handle the medical stuff very well. So I wish people would at least keep that in mind. If their dog is starting to show signs of aggression, that maybe you should go get some things checked out. Go do some blood work, maybe some x-rays to make sure there's nothing going on upstairs. Yeah, besides Kagi having like the dementia stuff, he also, when he went blind, he didn't handle it good like Silver did. He really struggled with it. And yeah, my boys struggled a lot with the stuff that was dealt with them. And with my Lou, like, I know it's been a couple years, it's still hard to talk about this dog. With my Lou, he loved other dogs so much. I mean, he was good with other people too, but dogs were his thing. So to see him attack, his family members, that was really hard. That was really hard. Which leads to another thing I want to quickly touch upon is behavioral euthanasia.
Allie's outside crying. Miss Healer Mama, you're getting to me. Healer Mama's killing me with her stories.
I cannot stand the hate that I see given to the people that have to decide to put their dog down because of aggression. And I know some people out there, sorry, I'm trying not to get emotional on this because this pisses me off and upsets me off, like lots of emotions. There are people who do go through training, go through every last option to help their dogs, and they still end up having to put their dog to sleep because of behavior, because of aggression.
And yes, while I was working at the shelter, I've experienced a couple of these situations. There was one dog that was put down for behavioral euthanasia because he came in with a group of 6 dogs. I'll have him in the cards up here, the video of the dogs that I worked with. And his name was Dude. That's what we called him. That's what he came in with. I think there was a big old mix up of the names, but we called him Dude. He was a big black dog with a little curly tail. Big dog. Like talking Great Dane, small Great Dane mix type. But he was the most fearful out of all of them. And after working with them for months and months and months, he, the vet, having to poke and prod him all the time. The vet came to go take, we tried to, neuter him, and he had to go down under twice because he was found to be a crypt orchid because we couldn't get close enough to really feel up and see that. So he had to go under twice. And then the vet went to go do some blood draw at some point, and the dog bit her, and he bit her. And so after that, she said he is not, not fit for, or they felt that he was not a good fit for the public. So that was one case where they had to make the unfortunate decision to put him down. And another case was where I answered a phone call to a man who said that he's had a dog for about a year. And usually right around 9 months to 12 months is when, if you have a dog that's going to be a case for behavioral euthanasia, when their brain chemistry starts acting up, that's usually about the time. He said he had a dog for about a year. We looked her up in the system and saw she was a cute puppy, but she's, a big, massive mastiff type dog, and he said that his family is not safe. The dog protects the wife from him and everyone else, from his children, from himself. He can't keep her in the backyard. He can't, I didn't know if he had done any training. I asked him about it. He just wanted the dog down. He wanted to put the dog down today. And at that time I told him, well, our manager is not around. You're going to have to talk to her about it because, one, it's a holiday and we're not open to the public. And 2, we have so many other dogs that we have to worry about that we can't just move you first onto the line. We have so many dogs that are to be returned that we can't just move you to the first in line just because your dog is being, even as scary as it is, your dog is acting this way. So, he said if you don't, he's either going to drop her off at our doors. And I said, that's not going to happen. Or he's going to drop her off at another vet's doors and have her put down. And my manager said, you know what, tell him if he's going to do it, don't drop her off at another shelter. Because one, another shelter is not going to take her, or they will put her down immediately. And it's better for her that he takes some responsibility to put her down himself and act like a decent human being. And whether he caused this or he didn't cause it, I'm not saying he caused it. I don't know what happened. He didn't answer those questions. Because we get a lot of that, where we have dogs that are adopted out, and then 2 days later they want to return them, or a month or a year later they want to return them because the dog hasn't been trained. Well, whose fault is that? Or the dog is now being this, or the dog is doing that. Mainly, the dogs are returned because they're still not house trained or because they're untrained. Regardless, in this case, this dog was being aggressive, and this dog was a case for euthanasia. But the way he did it is he just, he had finally had his final bit, and he just wanted the dog dead. But he wasn't about to be courteous about it and be with the dog to put it down. This dog he's had for a full year. That who knows how. I mean, he said that he smacked the dog on the nose and told it no, when she was resource guarding something. And I said, well, don't do that, because mastiffs don't like that. And we kind of had a little attitude towards each other, because he came at me with attitude and immediately like, hey, I want to put my dog down. Okay, well, what's going on? And then we find out, okay. So in the end, I have sympathy for his family because they do have to put the dog down. But in a case where you just call and say, I need my dog put down now, and you don't have any sympathy towards this dog, you don't have any empathy towards this dog, I don't have any empathy or sympathy towards you. So that's one of the cases where I don't care about the human. I care about the dog more, but I do agree that the dog must be put down for the safety of the family. That has, nothing to do with, my thoughts on how I'm not saying it's the owner's fault. In this case, it's more about how the owner handled it, that you wait until the last minute and then you say, I want this dog dead today. So that just didn't fly with me. I've gotten many calls like that, that I need to drop my dog off today. I need to return my dog today. Well, you know what? We got a whole list of 50 other people in front of you. We got 5 months waiting of a wait list. You're going to have to wait your turn. Otherwise, go put the dog down yourself. So that was that. But, for everybody else who does actually care about their animals, and they care so much that they do it out of love to put their dog down, and out of safety. I have no doubt that the owner of Simba, the pit bull on TikTok, I have no doubt she loves him, but that dog needs to be put down for safety.
And it might not be any of their fault at all. Like, some of these dogs that I see being euthanized are dogs that have trauma, dogs that have a bad past, and these owners, bless them, they are trying so hard to give this dog a better life and doing all the right things for them, and they still have to make that hard decision to let go. And I wish people would be a little bit more understanding. These are, as much as we want to call our dogs our babies and our children, which they are, but they're still animals. We're still animals too, but they have some instincts and wildness to them. I guess what I'm trying to say is, not every dog can be saved, dog or not. Sometimes the behavior is something out of your control, and I wish more trainers would talk about this. I wish more trainers would educate themselves on this kind of stuff. And I also wish the internet would not just, hear one thing and go with it, which lately I've been hearing a lot about people saying, oh, my dog has rage syndrome. So vet techs who watch my channel, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, because as far as I know, rage syndrome is a specific seizure disorder that will cause like actual dog aggression. And as far as I remember, I think it's to specific breeds, like spaniels usually. Yeah, correct me, inform me, whatever. But as far as I know, rage syndrome is a very specific thing. And lately online, I've been seeing a ton of people say, oh yeah, my dog has that. And we all know our healers can be a little snappy. And
So people are just starting to excuse their dog's behavior rather than training it or getting professional help, or accepting the fact that their dog may be unsafe in society. I've had a client that whose dog who was aggressive, is aggressive, and finally went after another dog. I don't know what happened, but she went after another dog, went for the throat, and that dog ended up having 2 surgeries worth $3,000. And now this dog is ended up being is ending up in the process of being rehomed, and possibly might be a candidate for euthanasia, just because of how hard it is to handle her, unless she is abused in the most controlling manner that, yes, I'm sure some trainers can make progress using a shock collar as high as it can go, using a prong collar, using abusive methods, and then they'll turn around and say, look, she can get 2 inches from another dog without reacting. She's a ticking time bomb if that happens. So it's an unfortunate situation. I tried helping the people, and sometimes, the dog just, I told the people too, either rehoming or, that might be the best thing, or you have to accept that possibly behavioral euthanasia might be the best thing to do. I didn't think that it was necessary at that time, but seeing the dog is very difficult to keep her under threshold because she has a very large, wide threshold, meaning she has to be at least 25 feet from another dog for her to be somewhat calm. And she still won't take treats then. 45, 50 feet, then she'll take some treats. But and that's where you can start training her and working with her using positive reinforcement, where you can reinforce the behavior and teach her something, because when she's over threshold, she's not learning anything. So this dog has gone for the throat of another dog and caused damage. It's a very sad case, and I expect, I wouldn't be surprised if I hear that she's been put down in the next few months, they're not able to rehome her. And it's just a very unfortunate situation.
Have a tendency to be a little crazy protective, with their snappy snaps. The amount of people I'm seeing saying cattle dogs have rage syndrome is, oh man, it tweaks my melon. It really
I can imagine.
I feel like the rage syndrome is kind of like how littermate syndrome started spreading. I feel like that's what's happening with the rage syndrome right now. Like if you had to put your dog down for behavioral issues, just say that. You don't have to give it a specific disorder. Like it just, yeah, because I don't think, I really think some of these dogs are being misdiagnosed, and I think that's dangerous too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I feel like I've kind of trickled off on a little bit of a rampage elsewhere. I don't know. I'm all over the place with this video because too much emotions are happening.
Sure.
And like I said, it's not that I think dog aggression cannot be the fault of the owner. Like, it absolutely 100% can be at fault of the owner. Like, we've all seen videos online of how dogs are mistreated and how owners do certain things, and then they wonder why the dog is snapping back at them or other people and things like that. But I just wish people would realize there could be other reasons. There could be other things happening within your dog that could be causing the aggression. And just because your healer does snappy snaps doesn't mean it's an aggressive dog. It's a snappy dog. Like, they're nippers. They want to nip that cattle. But that is just my 2 cents.
And, you can try everything in the world and you can do everything right, and sometimes it still just doesn't work. It's not a sign that the method doesn't work. It's just that or that with this one dog, this method doesn't work, that with this one dog, even positive reinforcement doesn't work. It's that training itself just won't work for an animal with a very specific case.
On the whole, thing about dog aggression, owner's fault. So let me know what you guys think. Remember to comment down below, click all the buttons, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Healer Mama.
Oh, did you pop up for the bye? Look at that cute woo-woo.
Aww.
Oh, look at Miss Gypsy woo-woo. Oh, now you're not going to show your face to the camera?
She's shy.
Oh, there she is. There's that cute little woo-woo. Oh, you going to tell them like and subscribe? Oh, like and subscribe. Yeah, I know. Say like and subscribe to the channel, guys. Gypsy, you're not going to say anything, are you?
How cute. Well, that's this video. I think she did she covered a really great topic, talking about how aggression is not always the owner's fault. There's a lot of cases where the owners have tried everything they can and it still doesn't work. They've tried all the training in the world and that still doesn't work. And a lot of times using the wrong type of training method can make behaviors like that worse. So, my heart goes out to everybody, whoever has to deal with that kind of behavior and those struggles and and whatnot. I didn't expect to get as teary eyed as I did in this video, but you know what? Whenever we're talking about animals, that's gonna happen. So good job, good work, good everything, Healer Mama. We do appreciate you and all your wisdom and guidance and all that good stuff. So if you haven't subscribed already, go subscribe to the Healer Mama. She can always use plenty more for these cute little faces. Go check out her grooming stuff, all of her grooming videos. And thanks for watching. And until next, thanks for watching. And in the meantime, go say howdy do to your little critters. Say howdy do for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.